education! Now continuing on that same topic, we've got Mike Williss. He's someone who works for the Australian Education Union, and he is speaking today as a member of the Committee for the Spirit of Eureka. And he is talking about the fact that education is not a game and should not be treated as such. Mike Williss, ladies and gentlemen.
Comrades and friends, let me first acknowledge the large numbers of our most precious asset, our children and young people who have come to this rally. Somewhere in this crowd there are two young kids, I don't know who they are or where they are now, but they have their own placard, and it features those great Aussie cultural icons, Snugglepot and Cuddle Pie, and they are put up against that great American puppet of a prime monster, Mickey Mouse Tony Abbott. Good on you, kids! Ladies and gentlemen, I can see lots of references to Tony Abbott, and unfortunately the mongrel's staring at me head on over there. This is more than Tony Abbott though. This is about how a whole agenda, a neoliberal agenda, has grabbed hold of our major parliamentary parties and turned policies against the people who elect parties to govern in our name. More than anything else, and particularly in the area of education, we need to have our own independent agenda, and we need to hold parties who form government accountable to that agenda. You see, ladies and gentlemen and children, the problem is not that there's not enough money in this country. The problem is that there's too much of it and it's all in the wrong hands. We have the money if we want to take it back from the mining magnates and the great corporate entities that run this country to fund the Gonski reforms over and over again. You know what those Gonski reforms are based on? They're based on a 30-year campaign by our union, by parent organisations and by community groups to address the great inequalities in our education system. David Gonski, the chairman of Coca-Cola Amatil, the head of the Investment Fund for Australia, the head of the Stock Exchange, didn't just simply wake up one morning and say out of the goodness of his heart, oh my, we've got a problem in education and I'd better do something about it. He was put in a position to seek a remedy to injustices in all of our classrooms across this country. He responded to an independent agenda. And what he did, in effect, after a lot of investigation of the problem, was that he said every school in this country should be resourced to an acceptable resource standard. That was the equivalent of saying to every school in this country, here are 3 buckets of money across a period of 6 years. Agreements were signed. The state government here signed an agreement with the previous federal Labor government that there will be 6 years of funding for our schools, 3 big buckets of money over those 6 years. And then that little Prime Minister, and if you think he's bad enough, have a look at Tony, that bloody, what's his name? Pinocchio? Pine, something or other. Like bullies in the schoolyard, they came along and ripped 2 of those buckets out of the hands of the kids of this state. 2/3 of the monies promised under the Gonski funds were to be delivered in News 5 and 6. And when Tony Abbott went to the election saying I'm standing on the same page as the Labor Party, we have the same agenda, I promised to fund education for the first 4 years, he was in effect saying I am taking 2 of those buckets away from those kids in the sandpit. And that's the sort of mongrel he is. I want to acknowledge the members of one union that's here, our comrades from the Police Association. Because I hope, very sincerely, that the members of the Police Association, good unionists all, never have to implement the sort of laws that Dennis Napthine has just brought into Victoria. A rally like this will be declared illegal because people can't walk across the footpath, and God knows why they want to, but they can't get into the building behind me. But it's worse than that. If some senior police officer says there's a potential for violence in the crowd, oh, I can see Fat Man waving the flag, he's trouble. Darren, good on you, mate, hold it up high. If they determine there might be potential for violence, they just close the whole rally down. How? With violence. So first they came for the CF and the U and I did nothing. Then they came for the Victorians under Napthine and I did nothing. Oh, who are they coming for next? Well, not in my name, I'm not. Comrades and friends, education is part of an enormous picture. That picture is, what sort of future do we want for this country? We want a country which is free and independent, democratic and just. We want a country where the resources of this country are used for the provision of services to the people of this country. Not used to line the pockets of junior Reinhardt, not used to line the pockets of foreign shareholders. Comrades and friends, I've got to say, in the 32 years I had in front of the classroom, you're the largest class I've ever spoken to. Not only that, you're by far the most attentive and the most engaged, and I thank you for that. And I thank you in anticipation, because I know you're going to do your homework. You can go away and talk this up. You're going to go away and pass the message around. So that next time, instead of 4,000 or 5,000 people, there's 40 or 50. Education is a game! Not in my name! Education is a game! Not in my name! Thank you! Thank you very much.